blurry again. It went blurry again. Hold on.
Oh, we're going live in 3. Wait, count 5, 4, 3. I'm watching it load up. We're live.
Okay. Well, Wednesday yachting luncheon. This case live from the Pacific Ocean. We're about 1,100 miles west of California, halfway through the Transpac. And this live from the Transpac version is made possible by, of course, the great yacht Halawa, skipper who is sitting with me right here, Kimo Winterbottom, and our navigator, Mark Darcy. Say hi, Mark.
Hi, everyone.
So, Kimo, you started sailing at age 8. I know you'd be a good sailor. We've crossed the Pacific once before. When did you first dream about sailing in the Transpac with your own doggone yacht?
Shortly after my father passed away, about 2 years ago, I started thinking about an appropriate way to bid him farewell. And so last year, my brothers and I got together with Ron and with our friends and family and raced the Pacific Cup here on Halawa and spread my father's ashes at the end of the race. And when we finished that, and I figured out that I actually enjoy being out in the middle of the open ocean, I decided to, double down. And we've done a tremendous amount of work in Halawa in the last 8 to 9 months to get ready for Transpac. And here we are. So enjoying every minute of it.
So this is a team effort, 10 people on the team. You picked the team. As you were going through the whole process of selecting a team that's going to be compatible for like 9 days, 10 days across the ocean, talk to us about some of the characteristics that are important in the team.
Well, diversity is number one, because, for instance, we've had several mechanical breakdowns on board here because we just did a major retrofit, and those kinds of things are to be expected. They've been relatively minor, but we have Conrad Holbrook and Paige Johnson, both of whom are California maritime grads and with backgrounds in maritime engineering, who've been fantastic in fixing the things that have gone wrong. We have people on board like David Rogers, who have a background as a former navigator and skipper winner in both the Transpac and the Pacific Cup, who frankly are much better open ocean racers than I am. And then you have people that have fantastic skills in specific areas of the boat, Paige on bow in particular. Kim Dinsel's an excellent watch captain. And Mark is a navigator with world-class experience and skills. And so we have a very diverse team, and I've spent a lot of time focusing on making sure that not only do we have a diverse skill set on board, but also we have a great team, because you don't want to be on board with people for 10 days who you end up wishing you weren't on board with for 10 days. And I think we managed to avoid that, and we're very happy with it.
So one of the people who's most important in any crossing of the ocean is the navigator. And our navigator this year is a guy I've sailed before and considered to be a really, really solid member of that navigating community. And so Mark Garcia, the navigator, talk to us a little bit. How long have you been preparing for this race? How long have you been putting together, your thoughts on routing for Transpac?
Typically a month out prior to the race, we do analysis, working closely with the team with regards to taking a look at what is called reanalysis file, so historical weather, and then using that as a way to begin to guide a sense of how we may perform. Obviously, we can't predict a month out what the weather's going to be today, but each time we get closer and closer to the start of the race, we get better understanding of our strategy, working closely with all of the team in terms of drawing on their wisdom and experience and form of the strategy. And that's the strategy that we typically will execute against.
So now what our audience to see is what the boat is like. Kimo picked this boat specifically as a boat that would be both fast and fun to be on. And I've been on boats that are way more stripped down and not as comfortable to live inside of. So 10 people can live in it for more than a week. So let's do a little tour. So we're in what we would call the forecastle area. This is a table. 2 more of the crew members are sitting over here. And so Colin Colin is an incredibly solid mate. Like every team, in a football team, you've got people, everybody can play the game. Everybody knows how to play football. Everybody on this team is a very good sailor. And many of them have special skills that allow us to do the things we need to do. We could not move the giant sails we're about to show you without having incredible muscle on the, sail controls. And what I call the engine of the team, but one of the members of that is, he's very, very strong. He's also sharp as a whip. He knows what's going on. He's looking at the sails, and when he's given the command, Brian or not Brian, he knows exactly what the hell he's up to and knows which line to be pulling. We also have, as we got through mentioning before, Conrad. Connie, not only a really savvy, how the boat works, it runs. He's a really good sailor, a good driver, a good everything, really. And he's also smart and strong as heck. So no matter what role that we put either of these guys in, they can do a really good job of it. Now you see where we are right now, we live in the space. So this is a berth right here, and this is a berth where they're sitting. And since there's 10 of us on the boat, we're constantly moving from location to do our job up on deck, but then we also have to sleep here. So somebody else sleeps right there. This is a berth where somebody sleeps. And somebody else, you in fact, Paige sleeps right here where Kimo is right now. Let's go forward and look at some more of the other spaces. Here's our brand new carbon fiber rig, brand new carbon fiber mast. And here, 2 more berths. Right here. People can sleep in different berths, different types of ways. This is more storage area. Here's one of the 2 heads of the boat. Now, Kimo, we're gonna go up on deck and do it after we finish touring down here. So this is a galley. Sure. Michael Winterbottom is the cook. By the way, this is my 4th Pacific crossing. Michael Winterbottom is without question the best cook I've ever been on a boat with. He's like amazingly good at making things happen on a boat while we're constantly tipping and racing. Got an oven, a stove, all of which he uses, and let's go back here. Yeah, refrigeration and a freezer both. Let's go back and look at the aft cabin. So 4 of us share this aft cabin back here. Here. Here we go. Great. Back here's the aft cabin. Skipper, myself, another guy, Bert here, Bert here, and Bert there. Put that here, all the way through. We're going to take it from this word. One of these cuttings, each measure of sign and number. Kimo is number 1. Henry is number 2. I'm number 3. Mark is coming here is number 4. So we put our stuff inside these because we have to, we're going to build and actually get up and go on and watch. We have to get on and watch it quickly, and we have to have all of our gear together. That's not easy. It's very, very difficult to do all this kind of stuff in the dark. You grab these. Okay, let's go up on deck.
Your wet vest. Wet vest.
Every time I go on deck, I got to put on one of these. And anybody who's been at sea understands that it's the unexpected that is the most worrisome. Falling overboard is never planned. So you can't say, no, I'm safe now. I don't need to put on my life jacket. We all have to put on our life jackets when we go up on deck. Our skipper is real keen on this. He digs us all as well as people, and he wants to make sure he comes back with, the 9 folks that left the dock. So we all put these on when we leave. Up I go. Okay. So what's happened to the deck? Basically, navigating way across the ocean, conditions change, wind changes, wind conditions change, where competitors are changing. So we have to move ourselves fast and tech. Right now, we don't see any boats, but probably the case is pricing. Very good. It's on right now.
Can you get closer to your camera, your phone mic? We have no audio. Can you hear me, Ron? We can't hear too much wind. Down below to talk. Or speak directly to the phone.
You guys want to watch this, and if the video goes out, just double click the video thing until it comes back on.
I needed to protect them.
That time it didn't work. I think the phone needs to come. We're too far away.
Bluetooth.
We can see you now.
Yeah,
Are you back? You're
good,
back.
okay, good, all right, we'll do it from here. One up here. Okay, So there's probably a couple reasons why nobody's ever done this before. It's difficult to master the technology, especially when we're 1,000 miles at sea. So the next person I want to talk to is Kimo Winterbottom, who's done the can car and cat. Kimo is a really good project. He has metrics on the boat, which can monitor how close or optimal you can drive the boat. And I was kind of happy last night with how I was driving through. I went down and asked her Navigator, how have I been doing the last time? I think 99% polar. It's been kicking up hill, and about a half an hour later, I couldn't do it. Going to the number at 100 heating is literally doing better than Schneider plane comes to do for like, a half hour. But he's also driven for literally more than an hour at a time. Sitting up and come to it. And so I'm just very busy. Then the back of the boat, driving boat went down. It's really good. Really good. It's also basically a really good one. It's like a different guy.
Did it twice. Again.
Quite.
Okay.
So Dave sits in this division right now, he goes up to the bow, he was doing like, and he basically, I can do something. So basically waits for the skipper to give a command, he makes sure we all do our part. So basically goes through the routine, it'll go through like a mini verbal incorporate for her. Dave's putting up some good memory driving right now. So he'll say, okay, this is gonna be it, we're gonna do. We're gonna spike the kite, it's gonna fly out. So that's the principal value to get. Michael, I can just say, and obviously, with the coffee grinder, Michael, basically, Michael from this pedestal can pull some levers. And adopt buttons on the winches, and he can designate which winch to be driven by. So he basically, if anybody who's in that position, basically manage your. Yes, you do it. All this is constant. We just went 16-4. They basically caught a wave. Really caught a better piece of wind from the wave. Quickly, we saw that Dave and Edward let the kite out just a little bit as we drove down the wave, and Mike at the right time. So all this is incredibly. So now I'm going to walk forward. Yeah, right here. Right. Front of the boat, we're all mass, 7 to be repeat, 7 to repeat. Well, that's what happened was we needed to release one of the turns of the wind. So real quick on the night, so I talked about the height of that. So 7 to rate, all the way up to the top of it yesterday. Camera guy, our own page, went to the top of it, can't compete here working. And then Dave also went to the top, they were regular here. So all those lines over there take tremendous energy. Now, where's our skipper? We can interview you up here, buddy, so you're not down there if you got caught. He will put it here. Okay. Sure. Okay. So I'm off deck, so I'm going to take off my harness quickly. There's real fast release things on the harness that you can basically go like this, quickly out of my harness. So Kimo, you bought a bunch of sails for us to come on this trip. When I remember when we went to pack up, you thought through and you talked, I needed one of these and I needed.
So quick question. Still audio, and that camera goes off like that.
I think it stops. I don't know.
Does the audio stop? No, the audio stays on, right?
Okay, great. So Kimo, you basically selected a set of sales advice. How many new sales are required for this race?
About a total of 6 new sales for this race.
6 brand new sales. Some describe sales.
On a new main, because the new rig is 3.5 feet longer than the old rig, so we needed a new main. We brought 3 new spinnakers, an A1.5, an A2.0, and an A4 flexion. The sails are bigger because the rig got bigger.
All that's just small.
Mass is taller, so the spinnakers needed to get bigger. And we bought 2 staysails, one spinnaker staysail and what's called a IGS staysail, or we actually call it little KP, which means it's a little itty bitty staysail. It's on pretty much all the time, regardless of sales, we have a lot. So we changed our rating in lieu of these modifications we did in the boat last year. And the boat is we also changed keel. We put a new keel bulb on the boat, make it a little bit more streamlined, and made a number of other smaller modifications around the boat. Those are the major modifications. The sail plan needed to adjust to those modifications.
Now, sailing is super tech, and make these corrections, changes, and additions, edits, what it called, upgrades, tweaks, or tuning, all those words, they all really apply. You collaborated with a number of people, including the naval architect, both with the design boat originally, Alan.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about how you basically would collaborate with them about how to get the best formulation of,
Sure. So Alan was the original designer of this boat, which was launched in 1992. Alan has a PhD in naval architecture from Stanford University, so he is a very accomplished designer. And we worked on the design of the new keel. We worked together on the design of the new mast and boom, and the overall change to the sail configuration. Alan was instrumental in making sure all those things happen as efficiently and intelligently as possible. So he was a great member of our team to have and very capable in this area. And we also worked extensively with Jeff Thorpe of Quantum Sailmakers, Buzz Foster of North Sails, who supplied us sails and the most recent modifications completed. And we also worked extensively with Dave Survey at ST Boatworks and Offshore Spars, who built our new carbon fiber spar and our new carbon fiber boom. So we have a extensive team, including our captain, Tyler Wolf, as a professional captain, and he was instrumental in making all this happen as well. And I'd like to point out that we received our spar 1 week before the race. So just getting out on the race course in this particular event was quite a feet and just a testament to the hard work of our team and the expertise.
Okay, so now you're the not just the captain of the boat, or not the skipper of our boat. You're also the CEO of a private insurance business. How the hell do you find time to play with boating activities when you're growing as you are your business?
I bring on good people like Colin, my CFO, and I bring on good people on our professional team around the boat. And I learned over the years how to delegate, I think. I still could probably use some improvement in the area delegation and communication, but I also have a wife who's very supportive of everything we do, which is important. Sandra is very supportive of me and my endeavors, which helps out tremendously, as are my kids and my stepkids. So, I think we have a really good team here and a good ohana, things rolling down the track. And to get this boat going with a week to go, receiving spar was just a monument feat, and I'm very proud of the fact we're sat here on the crazy.
Amazing. So now you see we've got 10 members of the crew, and different ones are on watch or on deck at any given time. The guide for when they're on deck is what's called the watch schedule. This is the watch schedule. So you see Kim and Conrad are on at 8 o'clock, then they go off at 9:30 p.m. they're off until midnight, then they're on until 3 AM, off on, off on. So each pair of us. So the whole watch system consists of 10 members include 4 teams of 2 each and 2 floaters, the floater being the navigator and the cook. They each can sail real well. In fact, they're both very good sailors, but their other duties on the mission, you know, of winning, of doing well in this race, require them to dedicate time when they're not on watch. So we let them be floaters. And every now and then, if somebody's wiped out, they'll take an extra watch off, sleep, and the 2 floaters, either one of them will fill in. It takes lots of folks to maneuver the sails on this boat. You'll be meeting them as we go around. I want to talk to you, a couple of them, about, you know, how they basically got into being a sailor in the first place. Conrad Holbrook, for crying out loud.
Hold.
Come back on here.
There you go.
A second here.
You're good.
We're back on screen.
Hang on. Word for a second.
Okay, we're back on screen. Kind of magical to be 1,000 miles out here and be on screen. So Conrad Holbrook, good mate. Connie, how old were you when you first started sailing?
Probably 8 years old.
8
Yeah.
years old. What kind of boat was it?
Leeboard Savick, Daggerboard Savick, King Harbor, and then went to the Maritime Academy from there. And I worked on boats. Kept going sailing for the past many years.
So Connie, describe a Sabbath. Most people don't know what those little boats are.
So Savick is a 8-foot long boat that actually designed to be built out of like 2 sheets of plywood back in the day. So it's an easy early introductory dinghy that just has a single mainsail, very simple controls, gets kids out on the water, let them experience going to where they want to go and making their own decisions that are very early. So,
Yeah, those of us who started sailing as kids, as I did as well, realize it's really good. You got your own little boat, you can tool around in it, make your own mistake. Now you're on a 56-footer. Tell me something funny that's happened on the 56-footer, besides this interview.
anything funny we can repeat is next time. You know, it's just been a great trip. We've enjoyed each other's company and had a really good time. And for the amount of time that the boat's been out sailing, been very few complications, and we've just been sailing as hard and fast as we can. And I can't think of any funny situations other than hanging out with Ron in here.
So how'd you meet Kimo?
On a sailboat. Kimo's dad, Skip, was very cordial to us Maritime Academy kids when we get to Hawaii, and very supportive. But Kimo essentially through that, and we've also Kim Bensel, and been great for, I don't know, 30 years, something like that. So been great.
Next. Talk to us, Colin Savage. Colin Savage is not just very, very strong. He's also brainy. He's got as many brains in his head as he's got muscles on his body, for God's sake. And he's also the CFO of Bridger Marine Insurance. So, Kim, Colin, when did you start sailing? What age were you?
It's probably 8 or so as well. My dad had a pony cat in Mobile, so that's my first memories of being on sailing.
How'd you meet Kimo?
I met Kimo through a conference held by a company that belonged to my former employer. We sat down at dinner and started talking about it came up that he was from Hawaii, and I really like the island of Hawaii, and done that number of outriggers different bases over there, and one thing led to another, and here we are.
So now you and I have spent good, we get a little steam action, break it up. Get the Oh, great, very good. So you and I spent a little time on the handles.
Yeah.
And so I can say that one of the really great things about working on the winches is it's aerobic, gets your body moving really, really good. And you're at least 3 times as strong as me, for God's sakes. But when you're doing it, what goes on in your brain when you're pumping like crazy?
It depends. If we're cruising along, you know, I'm just trying to quite full. But the real fun times, like this morning, when we finally got into some surfing conditions. And then, you know, it's like chasing a piece of steak. I want to get this boat down to the wave fast. Last year we had more than 1 so let's do that again.
So when we go down a wave, the boat accelerates, and that causes the wind to go forward. It's like driving faster or feel more wind in your face. That happens in the same case we go down the wave. So what he's talking about is as we start to go down the wave, the gravity makes the boat makes it go faster. And Colin is having to then pick in the kite, taking the kite to make it tighter and tighter and tighter. So he's basically making the boat, enabling the boat to surf up and down these waves. Same thing happens when we go up the wave. It gets out and up. You hear this sheet go out, wind goes more to the aft. And then so basically all the way across from here, from San Francisco, or in this case, LA to Hawaii, the engine of the boat, in this case, Colin, is basically physically maneuvering the sails, you know, the rest of us. So now let's go.
Want to interview Paige?
Yeah, perfect. I want to interview Paige. Perfect. This is what an example of our teamwork. The skipper, grab the camera right now. So Paige, when did you first start sailing, buddy?
I started sailing about 8 years old with a guy named Carl Eichenlaub, a staple of the San Diego community. I grew up in San Diego, and my dad was instrumental in getting me started in sailing with Carl, and that was a big influence on cadenza. I learned to do bow from great people like Eric Rogers and other staples in San Diego that really made my career in sailing a great experience.
Yeah, you're a really superior driver. You know, as a guy who's been sailing for 60-something years, you see people who can basically sense which way the boat's going to go before it goes there. So when you're sailing the boat, as it accelerates, the angle to the wind keeps changing. And a good helmsman takes that into consideration, as well as the waves about over or under or around, and basically decides before the boat is going to move to the right, to hold it a little bit to the left, so it goes straight. Then when it starts to move to the left, he holds it to the right. Essentially, you're very, very good at that. So when did you first drive a boat? What age were you?
Very young. I probably did my first offshore race, Newport Ensenada, at age of 12. So however long that ago was, but that Carl really let everybody drive the boat, no matter how old you were. He brought young people on the boat. He was big into growing the community. And so that was probably the first experience, but I grew up sailing dinghies, got into laser sailing, which is really what, brought out my ability to ride waves and make the boat move in a sea state.
So now Caleb Payne, bronze medalist from the Rio Olympics, a former, by the way, Wednesday yachting luncheon guest speaker. Caleb Payne was a sail with you. You were his training partner racing on the fin.
Not in the fin, in the laser, yeah. We grew up sailing together, a lot of San Diego Yacht Club programs, summer sailing programs. We went to Canada together a couple times, youth champs, things like that. We traveled a lot together as kids. And his career in sailing really took off when about the time I started going to sea and working on it.
So we're going to now interview some more folks up on deck. We're going to go bring the camera up here. Thanks, Kimo. Thanks, buddy. Okay, we're still going here. Yeah, were you going to say that?
Yeah, we're just.
What I got to do now is the same thing as always. Every time I go on deck, give us instructions. You got to put a life jacket on. So we quickly put my jacket on. Here happens in a little bit of time. Here we are. It's here. Now, this is an important thing. Let's talk about this. The life jacket. If I fall in the water, this life jacket has a release mechanism, which when it gets wet, inflates a tube all around my head right now. When that tube inflates, essentially the zipper that you see here busts open, and this becomes not just a collar, but it actually becomes a floating life jacket. The important feature of it is this strap that goes around the bottom of my body, because essentially if the life jacket floats up and I don't, it doesn't do me much good. We've all experienced, and I've seen and been on boat trips where a person has died. Larry Klein died. I was his main chief tactician back in '94, and he did not have one of these on. And another buddy, really great sailor and also wonderful guy, Marcus Sandin, 2012 in the around the Fairlands race. He died wearing a life jacket, but he did not have one of the strap. Anybody watching this knows that the strap is super important, because as I said, if the life jacket goes up and you don't, it doesn't do you much good. So now you see our navigator is going to go up and do a briefing. He's constantly pulling down files from satellite and learning the latest weather information. Then he's going to go up on deck and to tell the on deck team, you know, what his findings are. So let's go upstairs and watch what he says, what he does, do the whole process.
Not getting it way too much.
Go fast.
You have to go fast. 250 bearing.
Double click if it's.
Double click.
Very well. It's in here, Grandma.
Hold on. Oh, there it goes.
No,
Oh, there it goes.
keep on, maintain your true wind angle, if you're operating under, keep rolling fast, and then it'll come back down. So probably the next hour or two, we're gonna be lifting for a bit of time.
So what angle of the wind? We want true wind angle to be.
About 140 is optimal for the boat right now.
So what he's talking about is
The angle, top of the time, he wants to, 40 degrees about.
the intelligence guys from here said they know how to basically jump sail and report. We have a different version.
Losing audio.
Right now, you can say, both.
Hey, Paige, there's a page. Page. They lose the audio.
Yeah, because it's not holding close enough to the space.
Try earphones or earbuds. One out on top.
So also looking at the issues that they had, and we'll be talking. Too well when I'm up on deck, but here we are. So essentially, what we've been seeing is how the yacht is basically racing. Let me take this off now. Racing through the ocean, and get a chance to hear some of the folks that are making it fast through the ocean. As a matter of fact, so I want to ask the navigator a few questions. Let's look over his screen. So what are we looking at, Mark? Talk to us about the different colors on this screen and what they represent. And then touch the up. Yeah, there we go. Good. Okay. Show it close in on the screen, please. Okay, so Mark, talk to us about what we're looking at.
So these different colors are representing different velocities.
Show where we are in the chart, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Sure. This is us, the pink boat. And this is the Great Circle route from Long Beach to Hawaii. And in addition to that, you'll see other boats with their names. These are competitors. Here's Lucky. So Stan Honey is the navigator and member of the St. Francis Yacht Club. He's on that boat. And then as you can see here, we're in a group of competitors. And we can zoom in on them if we would want to get a better sense of where we are relative to our competitors. And we use this to help inform what's going on the race course in terms of their strategy and how they're sailing. It also provides a little bit of information with regards to directionally where the wind is and how strong the wind is.
So I see some guys are north of us, and this yellow patch here is lighter breeze than the orange patch. So you're able to touch the screen, and with information and new technology, you can see AIS, you can see how fast that boat's going at a given time and how much breeze they've got.
That's correct.
Give us an example.
So for example, this vessel, we can pull information on that vessel.
Which one are we talking about?
Triumph.
Triumph up here. He's a competitor. They're north of us by, what do you want to, is that like 30 miles? Mark, how far north would that be of us right now in the ocean?
It's probably 30, 40 miles. Yes.
So 30 or 40 miles north, and you're plotting your position, and you can touch the screen and learn how much breeze they're in right now, right?
That's correct. So
And how fast you're going. Give us your what you learned by touching the screen right now.
yeah, sure. So so what you can do is mouse over that boat. So that's boat. It gives us a date of where that boat was, the lat and longitude, and then the speed and the course of what it was traveling at.
So he was given, in this particular case, read out what you see. He's going 10.6 knots.
That's right.
Okay, and his compass course at the time was 251.
That's correct.
And 251 is pretty much straight at the barn, isn't it? That's straight toward. Yeah, real close to Hawaii. So that's very constructive. That's what we would think of that as we think that as a productive course, a really, really efficient course. Okay, so now you've got a couple of computers here. Aside from this one that I have for this stream, talk to us about this screen and the other computer and all the instruments that are around you.
Sure. So
Give us a little guide here to the nav station. This is called the nav station, everybody.
this is my office. So obviously we've got communication equipment. So we've got a VHF radio, which is required. We also have a Iridium telephone capability as well here, which is on all the time. So we're able to communicate with race committee and other competitors if need be. In addition to that, we've got a device here that basically monitors our use of batteries. And how all this equipment to run this, we use batteries to run it during the day. On a periodic basis, what we'll do is run the engine to charge those batteries. So once or twice a day, we'll do that. This is
just to be clear, when we turn on the engine, we never have it in gear. We basically use it as a generator. It's the generator function of the engine, which Mark is referring to right now.
That's correct. And this is marine instruments that is connected to sensors across the boat, sensing the wind that we're experiencing, the direction of the wind, as well as the speed of the boat through the water. So there's a little paddle wheel underneath the bottom of the boat that rotates, and that tells us how fast we're going through the water.
So now John Bechtel, associate producer of the Wednesday Yachting Luncheon in San Francisco, is there now, and Kathy Trafton, vice chairman, is there now. So John, if you have people in the audience who have questions of us here, don't tell us anything, just ask us questions. You're welcome to do that. And so Floor, the two engineers who are conducting the stream, can tell us we got a question, and we'll see this. We'll see you on camera here.
Sounds good. John, I've asked you to display your video, please.
Okay, we're turning video on again.
Good. So while they're getting that ready, let me show some more things about the boat. One of the things about the boat is, we have to have the windows open as often as possible so we get air, the hatches as we call them. But we have to be careful because if the hatches are open and a wave comes over, we can wreck the gear, especially the computer. So we're always mindful of that particular feature inside our boat. We want the air. Now you might think it's a cruise because here we are in the ocean. But really, it's not really a cruise. We're always working like crazy. And if you're not working, you're sleeping. This is an example where we've taken a moment away. So I want to point over here to the skipper while they're getting ready in San Francisco. So Kimo, when we worked up the watch system, You did what I consider to be, honest to God, no puffery, a really, really ingenious watch system this year. Put Kimo on screen. So this year we have squads of 2. You and I talked a bunch about this and you executed a really cool one. Squads of 2 that come up every couple of hours. So there's always fresh brain power. Brain power is the most important thing.
Sit down next to you, Joe, so we see both of you.
Yeah, so that's very savvy. For the
No.
whole crew into 4-minute segments. You did not do that at all. You have a more ingenious system. So there's new brains coming up every couple of hours. And so just to be clear, although our physical bodies get tired, the most important thing is our brains. And if you don't get enough brain power, the first thing that goes is your critical thinking or analytic skills. You can still do motor reflexes, but you lose really sharp analytical skills. And as you can tell from what we're doing, everybody on the boat, you know, Connie figuring out things, Conrad, Colin figuring out things, Mark, everybody is constantly using their brain to make the doggone boat go fast. So talk a little bit about why you dreamed up this cool system.
Yeah, well, I didn't actually dream it up. I think credit where credit is due. It was actually David Rogers who suggested we go from a traditional 4-hour watch with 2 people on, 2 people off throughout the entire day, 24/7, to one that created shorter watches that
Mm.
and
Wait, so let's go back to that part again. So essentially, there were several folks who suggested, and David Rogers suggested, having a shorter nighttime watch system. So talk that
correct. So we have basically a bifurcated watch system. We have 4-hour watches during the day from 8 in the morning until 8 at night. And then at 8 at night, we switch to an imperfect but important shorter watch system where we have a 3-hour watch system with teams of 2 on every hour and a half rotation. And what we're trying to achieve there is to get people more rest when they're up at night, because the old refrain about these races is the Transpac is won and lost at night, and you want to be proficient at night and sailing better velocity made good numbers than your competitors at night. And so we have a lot of really accomplished drivers, and the idea here on this boat is keep those accomplished drivers as fresh as we can possibly keep them throughout the entire race.
And so when he said the term velocity made good, VMG as we call it, that's not just boat speed through the water. That's a more computationally sophisticated number. It means even if you're going this way, it's how fast you're going to Hawaii, to the finish line. So the computers and our brains enable us to figure out exactly where we want to go. And to do that is very, very complicated. So at nighttime, it's more work every minute, every hour than it is the daytime. Hence your notion, let's have shorter nighttime watches and stuff like that.
Right.
So now, Kathy, if you have questions in San Francisco, we want to be able to answer them.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, we're looking at your room. John Bechtel, associate producer. Folks in the room, go ahead, Johnny.
I have a question. So right now, what's the wind speed and what's your boat speed? How much is the boat heeling?
Okay, that's a perfect question for Mark to answer.
Yeah, so currently we're experiencing roughly about 17 knots of true wind speed. The boat right now is operating at about 16 knots.
And then talk a little bit about heel angle.
Currently, heel is roughly about 10 degrees to port. And the reason is because we're on a starboard jibe.
Starboard jibe means the wind's coming, jibe means it's coming from the back of the boat or the side of the boat, and starboard means coming over the right side of the boat. This is a long time nautical term, starboard and port, you know, the left and right side. Port, 4 letters, left, 4 letters. So port, starboard in all cases.
There's a question from Kathy.
Yeah, go ahead, Kathy. Question?
Hi, I have a question. This is really exciting. This is fun to watch you. Now, as you're in the middle of this race, do your minds go to what will I how will I modify Halawa next? What do I wish were different? What could I do differently now or later? Are you already sort of planning for the next race in some ways in your mind?
So their audio and visual is booting back up.
Kimo, next race, buddy. You've talked to me about going south.
Do I have to share that?
No, you
No,
You say you're thinking of other races?
do I really have to share that?
No, no.
No, absolutely, Kathy. We are definitely thinking about how to make this boat go faster at all times. And we made significant modifications to the boat this year. There's been certain points of sail this year where I felt like we have not been as fast as we could be, particularly on a reach. So the next project under consideration is to put a sprit at the front of the boat so we can go with a true triple-headed
No visual or audio.
Angles from the side. So what Kimo's talking about is really a savvy, smart thing to basically modify the boat. Any other questions, San Francisco? So one of the last things we want to talk about on the boat, let's go back up here for a sec. We'll look out the window. So essentially we basically keep we're interested in the boat being organically good. We don't throw anything in the water, no plastics. Anything we throw in the water is biodegradable. Anything that a fish or some animal could eat. Kimo's real keen on this. And, his company, Bridger Marine, wants to be really clear that we will not allow any plastics or anything like that to go in the water. So in this entire trip, we've been going for 1,000 miles. I've not seen a single piece of plastic or anything that's not biodegradable go inside the water. So we're super conscientious and careful about that. That also means that Michael, our cook, and you also saw he's a trimmer, he's a driver, he's a very good driver, he's a very good trimmer, he's a very good guy on the handles. He does everything real well. He's also really a gourmet cook. Let's look over here at the galley for a second. He basically does everything in this little small space. This is the freezer compartment. So he freezes stuff in here. This is his refrigerator.
No visual or audio.
This is his refrigeration over here. So this morning, I'm not kidding, he made an omelet for me that I'm not exaggerating was better than I've ever had in a restaurant before. I said, what are these flavors that are going on here? But he's a gourmet cook. So he basically rattled off a whole bunch of savory ingredients that basically enabled us while we're at sea to eat as well as we could eat in a really, a several-star restaurant. Now, we don't always eat that way. We also have, look over here, we also have freeze-dried food. In here, it is filled with freeze-dried food. We put boiling water together with any one of these delicacies and zip up the top, pour in a cup and a half of boiling water, mush them all around, let them sit for 10 minutes, and we have basically soup or stew or beef bourguignon or whatever the heck. So the logistical challenges, as I was saying, of racing a boat 1,000 miles, and in our case, 2,225 miles from Los Angeles to Hawaii are challenging. And so the overall, management of the process is quite a challenging one. So we're happy as heck to be in second place in a very competitive division. And as you could tell from listening to the other competitors, we're constantly paying attention to where the competitors are, where they might be able to get better wind than us, where they might be able to get a shorter course to the finish line than us. And so what happens is Mark will keep making weather briefings, and Kimo is the CEO on the yacht. He'll basically think through all the stuff he's been hearing from all of us who will be making. So let me say that it's great to do this Wednesday yachting luncheon literally from 1,100 or so miles at sea. The WYL, founded in 1966, is the longest in the yachting community, longest running, and with 28 programs a year, the biggest of the entire yachting community. And with that, where's our bell, Skipper?
Just a moment. I just want to say before we sign off that Halawa was proud to represent the St. Francis Yacht Club in this race and other races, and how proud I am to be a member of the club and the outstanding racing tradition that the club
has, and we hope to acquit ourselves in this race accordingly. Make sure that it's proud of that.
Good going, mate. Good going, man.
And thank you everybody for tuning in today. We really, really appreciate it. And go St. Francis and go Halawa.
And with that, we say thank you so much. Signing off from Halawa, halfway from LA to Hawaii, 1,100 miles away. Thank you so much. Signing out. Bye bye.